Hey, Emma.
Hey, what's going on?
Can you guys hear me?
Joseph, how are you?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? How's everything going?
Good, good. Everything's good.
Just let me throw you the host.
Say that again, sorry.
Do you want me to make you host? Would that be easiest?
Sure, yeah, I'm on my computer this time, so I should be able to actually do everything.
Awesome.
And then I had one question.
Yeah.
So Parker, who's one of the presenters, was asking about getting people into the Zoom because they were trying to log in or register. Is there a link that we should be sending?
Yeah, so I just came back to you because I think Eventbrite, what happens is they turn it off like an hour before event.
Yeah.
But essentially the Zoom link I shared with you yesterday and I resent it can be used so people can join via that link. No problem.
Okay, okay, great.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I saw. Sorry, you just sent it to me.
No worries. Yeah.
Great.
Joe, is that Joe? This is Parker.
Hi, Parker. Yeah, it's the same link. I'm sending it into the chat again.
It's the same link. Okay.
Yeah, that I had sent above, but I just resent it in case you didn't get it.
Okay. No, I got it.
Great. Let me see. Okay.
Okay, great. So is there a? Okay. So should I? I don't have yet video permissions.
Okay, let me see. Oh, right. Yep. More. No. Oh, no, that's you. Sorry. How do I do that, Michael? I'm over on the. You're good.
Yeah, if you hover over
someone's just walking through. Yeah.
It's just where we just were.
How do I turn on Parker's mic?
Let me see if it might be turned off again.
Mic works.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
How do I
video
turn on
doesn't.
the video rather?
Let me double check. I might have to restart it one more time.
Okay. Oh wait, I see. It says it down here.
Yeah, did it work? Okay.
I think Parker Horror. Actually, it's not letting me do it. Oh,
Yeah,
ask
let
to
me
start
try
video.
to
There we go.
restart.
No, I just got it.
You got it?
Zach, I'm asking you to unmute, and I'm going to say.
Awesome.
No, you already started your video. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, great.
Hi. And so it'll
Hey, Zach.
basically switch back and forth between whoever's speaking, right? The video.
Exactly. Right now, you guys are all up, so we can see everyone. But yeah.
Yeah. So after I give the little intro, I'll just turn off my camera and my mic.
What did you want to say with that intro?
Wait,
I guess it doesn't
let's
matter.
talk about screen share.
Yeah, you do the intro.
How do we set up, make sure that like the person that's the presenter is sharing their screen?
You can you see? Oh wait, who can host? Now you can share your screen now. There you go. Beautiful.
So Zach's gonna just do all the screening, and
Yeah.
then I'll just be
talking
able to see
over
it and comment and just say next. Yeah. So Joe, is there anything at the end that you guys want us to push? We're basically at the end going to say that we're trying to do more.
You can just mention that. Yeah, I think you can mention that we're having our first open meeting next Sunday at 5 p.m. and that to check our Instagram for the details because we'll just have to figure out how we're going to do that this week.
Maybe you want to just say that. That way you can capstone it.
I can do that as well. Did you guys want me to keep track of the questions and just ask them to you at the end? Or do you want to go through them yourselves?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm on my phone. I'm not going to be able to do that and talk.
Okay, then I'll do that.
And then you can just like serve them up to,
Yeah, exactly.
or yeah.
So I think we're good then, tech wise. Right?
Zach, try to go to one of the ones with video, see if it's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's playing. It's auto playing.
It's looping.
It's not looping, but you can just hit play again.
Loop that one. That one's the short one. So just
You have to loop it on screen in Google Slides. You can see my
don't do
cursor,
that.
Yeah.
That'll be annoying. Just press play it, this thing again. Right. Or space bars, you don't have to see the
Was there
Right.
anything that I missed last week in my intro of how to talk about the community center part of things? That's more of Walt's thing.
maybe when you just intro,
I don't
you're
know what to
talking about what
say.
you're trying to do with the group. Just say that we're trying to you know, our focus, maybe you could just say like our focus is on like urban growing, just describing the group, because we're going to be talking about why, you know, that it's
I lost
Uh-oh.
Can everyone hear us at this point? How many participants do we have?
Here we go.
Just
Yeah,
give me 1 sec. I'm gonna grab my charger.
Hey, John.
hey,
Hey y'all, 1 sec.
Guess what?
I'm up in Kingston, New York, recording this record, and I completely forgot that I was gonna be here for today.
And you don't have good cell service?
No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm just on the Wi-Fi, but I just forgot
But yeah,
that it was Saturday. And so we're just gonna wait to open it up, yeah?
until there are people besides us, yeah.
Well, there's 10 people waiting, 11.
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock now, so everyone will be joining. But if you want to wait just like 5 minutes again, Joseph, to kick things off so everyone can jump on.
That sounds good.
So are we audible to all those people already?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
What up?
Hi.
That might be a fatal flaw of the Zoom webinar, is that everyone can still hear you.
They can hear even if they're in the waiting room. I don't know if that's true.
No, they can. In the chat, Ryan Bourne says he can hear us.
There we go.
So I hope everyone's doing well, and just bear with us for a few minutes as we wait for the room to fill up. Yep. You guys are looking very handsome, I might add.
Not too bad yourself there. Looking real upstatey.
I'm feeling very upstate. It's been snowing. It's lovely. I'm in a church.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm in the rectory right now.
Yeah.
Is that why you have to wear a mask?
Yeah, because it's COVID, baby. You got to
It's also
protect the
cold.
engineer. It's also very cold.
Not as cold as the Atacama. Actually,
Was it
just
really
as
cold?
It was like a New York winter,
No, it was
Really?
not that cold.
in the
Wow.
mornings and overnight. Yeah,
We got a lot of.
yeah, it was 40.
This is going to be a very interesting lecture. We have a lot of differing perspectives on this experience.
It got chilly.
Who do we got?
I'm mad I didn't get to go.
Next time, right?
That's what they always say.
It's true.
Maybe we leave when the Cactus and Succulent Society leads its own expedition.
I know that that's one of your goals.
This is gonna be there's a lot to live up to, though. Yeah, but we
I
have
imagine.
we have a party template that we can apply here.
Amazing. So let's give it till 4:05 and then we'll start. We got a fair amount of people waiting.
And we have a lot of content to go over.
You do.
Really?
Yeah.
We can
I
go
don't,
past.
but Zach does.
Parker, are you in Amherst still?
Yeah, I'm in Amherst.
Nice.
I was just in Holyoke this morning.
Wow. A lovely town.
Yeah. Yeah. Paper City.
Paper City.
One of the first planned cities in the country. Maybe the first or maybe the first brand new city planned city in the country. Not like first planning project, but I think probably the first brand new planned city.
We're gonna have to save that for the next lecture
Yeah,
on Holyoke,
I'll be throwing in
Massachusetts.
some architectural tidbits, as one can about a desert.
Let's see. Seeing if I know any of these names. Shout out to Raj. Let me see. And Parker or Zach, whenever you guys want to start, I can go ahead. We're coming up on 4:05.
Zach, you have good internet?
Yeah, I think so.
Crystal clear.
I guess not.
Oh, did we just lose?
Oh my God, Parker.
Wow.
Oh, Parker.
It's all right. He'll be back.
I'll be back.
Oh, he's back. Okay. Ask to unmute. Ask to start video. Once he's back online, we'll be good. There you are, buddy.
You can see me?
Yeah.
Can I see you? Can I see myself? Can anyone see me?
Oh, we can see you. What up, Stuart?
All right.
Are we ready to start?
Yeah, let it rip.
Can you hear me? Oh, shit.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Jost. Give us an intro.
Can everyone,
Gosh.
can people hear me right, Zach or Parker?
It cuts in and out. So I didn't know if that was you or me.
It says I have full internet. It's pretty stable right now. I can hear you guys. So let's just begin. Okay, I'm seeing you say yes, but I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, I thought you were
Yes.
gonna intro the club and the talk series and that stuff.
Yeah, I am. I just didn't. I can't tell if people can hear me because my
Oh.
internet is hooked up. But let's just start. So thank you for everyone who is here. I see a few repeat names. So thank you guys for coming week after week to this. It's been really fun. My name's Joe. We have Zach and Parker today who are going to be presenting on their time in the Atacama Desert from 2 summers ago. So we have a lot of fun stuff coming from that. And the 3 of us are part of a group called the Lower East Side Cactus and Succulent Society. It is kind of what it seems like. We're a group of people. We've been doing this for about 2 years, or not 2 years, a little over a year. Sort of sharing our knowledge and our experience of growing desert plants and other rare plants, but specifically in New York City and in apartments in New York, and trying to come to a more of a joint consensus of best practices for that. We have kind of monthly meetings. We're getting a little bit more organized about it now, and we're going to be having our first open meeting next Sunday at 5 p.m., also on Zoom. And if anyone who's in the audience today is interested in coming, you'll be able to find the information about it this week on our Instagram page. We're at LESCSS on Instagram. And yeah, we'll post some stuff about it this week, and hopefully we see more of you guys there and get to meet some of you. And before we start, we all need to say a huge thank you to Dover Street Market. They have been very graciously hosting us now for the past 2 weeks for these lecture series. And we have a bunch of shirts and plants that are available at Dover Street Market in New York. Plants are exclusive to your collection only. There's one collab that we did with Online Ceramics. It's really nice. Thank you to them. And yeah, if you're interested about what we do and sort of helping out with this project, oh, I'm sorry. The goal of this project is we're trying to raise money towards opening an actual physical community center in the Lower East Side that is going to be for teen and continuing education. It's going to be free to community members and run based off of volunteer services from our members and our community. So if you're interested in learning more about that, we have a bunch of that on our Instagram, and we'll post some links in the chat today if anyone wants to click through on there. I think Emma just did, actually. Thank you, Emma. So yeah, without further ado, I'd want to have these guys start, and thank you again for everyone for coming.
Thank you. Also a big thank you to the Cactus Store who brought us together and helped put the trip together in 2018. So I'm Zach, also known as Ocotillo Chico. I'm going to talk more about our experience in the different habitats and the plants, and Parker is going to focus a little more on like the interpersonal aspects of the trip. Right, Parker?
And the geography.
And the geography. All right, so let's kick this off. Here we go.
Okay, so this trip was to the Atacama Desert in northern Chile, and I think a good place to start talking about that and the context for understanding the plants that we're going to be showing is thinking about the sort of the climate, the microclimates, and the geography. So the geography here is a huge part of it. These are photos I took from over the Andes, coming into the Atacama Desert, which is on the west side between the Andes and the ocean. So you have this big mountain range that blocks a lot of moisture from getting up over them. That's why you have like the rainforest on the east being so wet, and then Atacama Desert, which is one of the driest places on Earth, on the west side. So, Zach, next slide. As the Andes come down, they can come down pretty abruptly, and it is the steep mountains come down to the Pacific Ocean current called the Humboldt current, which is very cold, and comes up from the bottom of the ocean, and it comes up steeply. And what happens here is the hot, dry air in the desert mix with the cold water currents coming up. So pretty rough landing between sea and mountain in a lot of places. It's not very comfortable. But then in other places there's a slight reprieve, but you can see that it's pretty steep coming down. And what you're beginning to see in some of these images is this sort of fog, and we'll talk a lot about that. So yeah, in this photo, you're seeing this sort of giant cliff coming down, straight down, and the cloud, it's actually fog, getting caught right in these like early mountains, right by the water. And what that does is it creates this incredible fog all year long that both protect and supply an otherwise extremely dry place on Earth with moisture. So unlike other types of cacti that Zach's going to be showing you, these guys have adapted to, and everything really there has learned to live with the condensation and humidity that occurs with this type of fog. So here we are, that last image, yeah, that's fine. So here's an attempt at I tried to, as a drawing I did kind of from memory of the place, trying to capture some of the fog that surrounded a lot of the plants. So very weird landscape.
Colloquially, people refer to the fog as the Camanchaca. It's something you'll hear a lot about when you hear people talking about Chile.
You're right. So it's this sort of, so here start to talk about how people interact with it. So the plants are living with it, but then people also trying to capture the moisture because it's such a rare thing there. And these are like fog screens that the fog would hit, and then be condensation, and then it would run down, sometimes all the way down to the mountain into like a reservoir. So there's a big collector, and then the right is a barrel collector that someone would drive up and pick up, and as a way of living in the desert. So just past this area, kind of if you're not within the zone of the Camanchaca, it's like a moonscape between those early mountains and the Andes. So this is what I always thought the Atacama to look like, and you can see when it's sun setting is just an incredible moonscape, and on the right you can see what it's like in sort of a harsher bright day.
Yeah,
Um,
just to add something else. So we have Christian in the top right-hand photo photographing, who will be presenting at our next meeting next Sunday. He's photographing the wind shadow, which refers to, the Humboldt current and the temperatures from the ocean create this perennial wind that's happening. So you're going to find like the impact of that on the east side of any of these rocks in this like super arid place, which was a really cool and strange thing to see and notice with like the biggest boulder or like the smallest pebble.
mhm, mhm. This is just sort of a context for how we got around. The environment's pretty rough, so you had to have everything kind of on your back. So we all independently reserved trucks, but they all happened to come in red, so it looked like we were a lot more organized than we actually were. Yeah, staying together was often quite a beautiful sight. You can see the ravine. So there's no rain per se, but there can be some. There have been like slides and erosion when there is, because there's nothing to hold it together. So yeah. So sometimes we were able to camp inside of the ocean, depending on where we were looking for plants. Upper left is B, and he's the one who led the trip and is a famous explorer of cacti and had done this a couple times. And evenings were spent around a campfire or being resourceful with food. Our friends we had some chefs, New York City chefs that came, and they were able to whip stuff up out of seemingly nothing. So
nice.
pretty good. Yep. This is just a fun anecdote of myself. My luggage didn't make it. So I had my clothes. I had my clothes and a sleeping bag, but the other bag didn't make it. So I had to go and find something to sleep on, and pretty precarious for the inflatable mat in a field of cacti. But it worked. It lasted for the amount of time that I needed it to. This was actually a great camping site. I mean, just an incredible place to wake up. But yeah, a lot of times some guys didn't even, they had sleeping pads, but they didn't have a tent. I didn't have a tent by default, but others didn't have a tent by choice. And so what they would do is wrap themselves in tarp, because even though it is one of the driest places on Earth, because of the fog, there's condensation, and it helps with that, and warmth. Just shot of another campsite. Pretty cool settings that I think are much more active during the summer. So this was like a fall, like it was
Winter.
getting towards the fall. It was the sort of beginning of, not yet spring, sort of early spring there. And then the last camping shot was not really a camping, it was sort of an in-between of, this was a ecotourism place where the architecture they served was like these dome structures right on the beach.
This
And
was
that Eulychnia right there, our first cacti sighting.
all
All right,
right.
so now I'm going to hand it over to Zach, and he's going to talk to you for all you cacti buffs about different species and their context.
All right, so day one, we are driving from Copiapoa to our first lodging, and we stopped just like en route from the airport, and we happened upon like a really variable grouping of Copiapoa atacamensis. So this image in the bottom left is like one of the larger, more elongated specimens that we saw growing almost like solely on granitic soil here, which was really, really cool. And then there were some shorter, greener, plumper versions. And then we did see like quite a few cactus that were falling victim to some sort of pest. So I think up here in the center image, you're seeing the remnants of some sort of infestation. I think these are eggs or spent eggs. So again, because of the currents and the constant wind, there was like these crazy sculptural formations right amongst this habitat. It was incredible. It was, much more interesting than any sort of modernist art sculptures that you can see in museums. And again, like the Atacamensis just growing solely on rock with like, I don't know, marginal organic soil components was just something that, let you know the rest of the trip you were just going to have your mind blown every stop we made. Here's some more of the windswept beauties. It really was astounding. Like these images are incredible, but just being there in the habitat and like hearing the cause of the erosion, like the wind and the sand, it was just astounding. So on our way from Caldera to Pan de Azúcar, day two, we started to see some mass die-offs of these succulent plant growth. Like I can't remember exactly what this was, but it was so interesting to see like this mass desiccation. So all of the moisture going out of an organism, and then because of there not being any measurable or maybe any at all rainfall that happens, you just see like the full decomposition of an organism where it was growing. It looked fake again, or it looked like, something that you would see at Dia Beacon. It was really incredible. We also started to see some cineracins. There was a lot of really interesting growth and a lot of self-sacrifice. So you're seeing stem sacrifice here in the grouping in the larger image, but then in the bottom right, you're seeing like literal stem sacrifice. So the plant is just giving up on growing any of the outer tissue and just preserving the main vascular system in the center of it as a last ditch effort to deal with the prolonged drought that they've been having as a result of climate change. Some more cineracin. So this again was like a really, really variable population. So you have like this really plump, large grouping in the bottom left, and then you have this super cool, my favorite version in the center here, this like really compact, like almost pancake shape growing form. It was really, really interesting. You just like seeing this like kind of like balloon things expand into the space that's available to them, and then extreme stem sacrifice here all the way to the right. It's just incredible to see like, a plant realize that it's not going to get helped out. So it's shedding all of its outward growth, and you're just seeing like the life force in the center of it, trying to hold it together. So this is just a wide shot of PDA. All of these like little dots here you're seeing are probably like Euphorbia lactiflua, some sort of scrub brush, and then Copiapoa cinerea and Columna alba. So all of those like little black dots are incredible, possibly hundreds of years old plants. And then everybody's favorite maybe, or second favorite, or tied for favorite, Columna alba. You have this super freaky boy here on the right, which is just an incredible formation, and looks more like a Muppet or something, or something created by Jim Henson than it does a plant. But it's one of the more famous, maybe, if that's like a right way to describe a plant habitat. columna albas, but it is. And then in the center here, you're seeing maybe the longest. Like this thing was huge. I don't know, 4 or 5+ feet long. Most of the columna alba are growing straight and leaning to the north towards the sun. But this guy was, you know, snaking his way on the ground. Maybe there was more, you know, the succulent shrub growing around it, so it shaded and helped it germinate as a seedling. And then as it matured, it just grew until it could find the sun. One guess. And then up here on the top left, like Parker was talking about, the Atacama Desert's been going through a drought for decades. So I think this was in 2009 was the last time they had a significant rainfall. And as a result of like this prolonged aridity, there isn't anything in the habitat or in the soil to hold it together. So when there's a mass water event, you see like this immense erosion. So in Pan de Azúcar, you saw all of these roads that had been unearthed and upended because of the flood. And this was one of the more intense, you know, 10, 15 foot deep canyons that we saw. Then some more PDA. So columna alba, for the most part, are going to grow solitary or with some stems, but this plant in the bottom left was one of the more interesting versions of this, like numerous pupping happening at the bottom of the plant. And then in the center, this really freaky symmetric clump was super alien and really, really beautiful. And then you see just the fields of columna alba that grow in Pan de Azúcar with a Eulychnia acida. I think that plant was, I don't know, 5-6 feet tall for scale. And then you see the Camanchaca rolling in as well in the background. And then you see here, like we were talking about with that first example of desiccation, just for whatever reason, this columna alba died off, and it's just shriveling. All the organic matter and moisture is going out of the plant, and it's just in the place that it grew. And then probably the trippiest, freakiest versions of columna alba are these guys. So you're seeing all of the photosynthetic tissue on these plants is protected by the farina. So what that means is all of the tissue that creates what keeps the plant alive, you know, with sun and with moisture, that's protected from the UV rays in the sun and the like with the white of the farina. So when you stop seeing the white on these Copiapoa, that's just showing you how much life is going out of the plant and how it can't create any more energy to sustain itself. I think this is also an attempt at trying to survive, right? So they're not having any water to help prolong their lives, which is unfortunate for the plant, but it is incredibly hypnotizing and just something that you could look at in perpetuity, I think. So now going out of Pan de Azúcar, another really cool plant, not as popular maybe as Copiapoa, but Eriosaceae oderii. This is like super, super compact, growing to the ground. I think I blew some sand off of this plant on the right just to get a shot of it, but it's growing like pancake flat to the ground. If you see this plant in cultivation, you're going to see it, you know, growing thicker, juicier, more robust, but in habitat, this is growing really flat to the ground, sometimes clumping. This was the plant that I saw the most clumping happening. Most of them were singular heads. And then you see to the left of that, so the Guanaco, Vicuña, and feral goats, they're looking for moisture and food as well, right? So the Copiapoa have much sturdier, strong, scary spine. So they're going to go after whatever the easiest meal or easiest way to get moisture is. So the Eriosaceae, not so strong, not so tough. Once they find it, they're going to either kick it or just straight up chomp on it. And that's what we're seeing over here. And then I'll play this video one more time. I think what you're seeing here is seed dispersal with ants. So the ants are probably eating the fruit of the Copiapoa, which those flowers are pollinated by black flies. And then I think as a result, they're helping disperse some of the seeds as well. I don't have any scientific backing on that, but I think that's what's happening. And just knowing the habitat and the lack of insects and everything there, I would imagine that's most likely the case. So a few more shots of Columna alba before we head out. This guy in the top center was another super freaky, strange, it's like not mutation, but you're thinking like, why is this pupping at the top of the plant like that? So maybe something caused some damage to the top, or there was like some event or infestation that caused that to happen. So the main growth stem maybe gave up and pupped from the rest of it. You're also seeing Eriosacia aruta in the bottom right here. That's a really, really cool plant. So its mechanism for protecting itself, rather than growing farina, is growing this really intense, dense spination. It's also very beautiful. So the center is like this dusty pink, then it goes to white, and it sort of fades to yellow, brown, and black. It's a really beautiful plant that really stands out in the landscape. And then in the top right-hand corner, this was maybe the strangest, if you want to say, Columna alba spination that we saw. Most of the time, you're going to see like singular black spines, or maybe a couple of spines out of each areole. But this was really, really thick, long, yellowy spines. It was really cool, and it was glowing in the sunlight there. So this is on our way to Guanillos, which is maybe my favorite habitat because of how varied it was and how dense and biodiverse the plant growth there was. So we have, I'm not sure which Eulychnia this is, maybe Aceta or St. Pinea, I'm not sure, but you see pretty intense specimen on the left, and then in the center you're seeing the skeleton. It doesn't look different from cholla wood, right? So that was a really, really cool, kind of harkening back to the American Southwest vibes. And then you're seeing a deflated Columna alba over here on the right. Again, it's because of no rain or anything else. It's just deflating and desiccating in the spot that it grew. Moving on, I think this little guy's a Cinerea, just growing in the crook of a rock. There's literally nothing, like no organic matter there. I can't imagine what organic matter would be there, like maybe a couple of leaves or something. But this is like a mature plant, not like, we did not put it there. This was a legit photo of, maybe a 8-inch to a foot, maybe foot and a half plant just growing in a crack of a rock. And then we got Papa Woody. Oh, did you say
Zach, isn't that? Yeah, I was just saying. Isn't that also just what's different about like the Copiapoa as opposed to the American Southwest, where you have a saguaro or whatnot that'll have like really spread out root systems, so that when it does rain, that they'll be able to suck it all up the few times and then just like hope that it can make it to the next rainstorm. These guys have the Camanchaca, and they just sort of sip at the fog, and they take it in through their skin. So
right.
that the roots are the roots are just actually just to hold it down mostly.
There's like a back and forth sort of thing with that, right? Some people postulate and have been able to prove to some extent like a much shallower, wider root system that's happening to the closer top of the soil, right? So when the Camanchaca comes through, they can absorb whatever is collecting on top or in the shallowest part of the soil as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not, like you're saying, they're not needing like anchoring root system, right? Or
right.
The roots aren't used for that, really, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
We got Woody taking a picture, then I'm taking a picture of taking a picture, so maybe it's twice as funny. I don't know. Guanillos, some more Columna alba. These guys were like they had like a little bit more of like a slate color and have like this crazy, like what people refer to as like corn, right? So that's like these tubercles that no longer have spines, and let you know about the age most likely of the plant, and then the arid lifespan that they've had, right? So that's not photosynthetic. That doesn't have any spines. Excuse me. It's just dealing with storing the energy that this plant has been able to acquire from whatever humidity it's been able to get. And then I can't remember what I've been told in the past. I don't know if it was like an old wives' tale or, you know, some other kind of bullshit. But when you're seeing these like ripples happening in the epidermis of the plant, it's like maybe indicating to you the amount of like decades or something to that effect, however many years that this plant has been around. Another cool thing here was like quite a bit of lichen growing on the epidermis of the plant. So that's like leading you to believe and to deduce that this is a higher humidity zone, right? If there's like this relationship with, you know, lichen to the plant, then there's got to be something sustaining it. And there was a lot of plants blooming here, right? So that's letting you know that there's something sustaining this population, which is, you know, reassuring to see, and also super beautiful to see all of these plants blooming sort of off season for them. Then also in Guanillas, we're starting to see Longistaminea. So this is like a more turgid is a good word to describe it, denser, growing, more multi-headed plants that looked great. So there were a lot of plants that looked super healthy, really robust, a lot of like this beautiful apical wool happening here in the center on the top of the plant, letting you know it's healthy and it's producing flowers. And then on the left, you're seeing this crazy cristata mutated growth, looking like a brain or something. That was a really interesting, freaky specimen with one little normal head popping out there. Okie dokie. So we have the smallest of the Copiapoa, the Lowii growing here. So this is maybe a little bit hard to see. So we'll circle them and punch it in there. So these guys are, you know, thimble size, like the tip of your finger small. In cultivation, these are gonna be taller and bigger, but in habitat, you're like, when you see them, you're probably stepping on them too, because it's very hard to see. And they're growing like millimeters off of the ground. Super cool, very cute. We didn't see any blooming, but that would have taken the cutest plant prize for sure. Okay, and then this was the road leading in and out of the habitat we were checking out and staying. And it was astounding. And then we have the Atacama Fox over here, which is I think Woody's favorite mascot of this habitat. Also very cute. They unfortunately he was trying to scavenge from us. We were not feeding him, but it wasn't bad to have him around. Were you saying something?
I would just add that there was just like very, very little wildlife. Everything from very few bugs to barely any birds. This guy was a rare thing to see because I mean, he doesn't have much to eat. I think probably crickets.
Honestly, I think this guy was probably scavenging from the fisherman village more so than finding anything in habitat. Right?
Well, he's from there. So obviously he had to have been eating something.
I don't know. He was definitely hanging around people quite a bit, which is like leading you to believe that there's like some
not very afraid, because I don't think he sees a lot of people, you know. But anyway, just you could see in there like fox scat. That was like mostly just like barely nothing, you know, like not very much moisture for things to eat.
Some other cool things in Guanillas, that really, really cool extreme geology on the coast there with this super craggy, huge, bouldery coastline. And then the Euphorbia lactiflua there were also very cool. Another really interesting succulent plant growing there. Has like a really bonsai, like manicured look to it, but it's just, you know, doing what it can out there in the desert. And then camping, I think this was my favorite campsite. It was just so dense with plant life, and it was so beautiful. It was a stunner. And then you can see over here, this Longistaminea, even though there are no longer any roots in the ground, the plant itself is like indicating to you that it's healthy and there's like new growth happening. So like the amount and the amount of energy stored and like the evolutionary traits to deal with a lack of sustenance is like shown in images like this, I think. So heading up
It's
to
almost
Copiopol-
it's almost like an air plant.
yeah, like Calancia. So heading into Aragonillos to Taltal, that's where you're seeing this crazy arid landscape. And then right before we got there, there was this really beautiful four-headed columna alba that was, there were barely any, if any other columna alba that were dichotomizing or trichotomizing, like let alone growing four heads out of one stem. It was a really special plant. And this was so cool. So you're seeing the results of the flooding happening here. And Parker actually spotted this plant from the road, which was a pretty ace find. This Longistaminae was literally growing on a precipice, showing you like quite literally the balance of no moisture and too much moisture. It was something else. This plant was like, I don't know, maybe 3-4 feet tall and then 6-7 feet across.
How old do you think a plant like that is?
Oops, I'm going the wrong way.
Probably a couple hundred.
I think we're talking like multi-century here. Like this plant was huge. It was it was the biggest or one of the biggest groupings that we saw in this habitat. And it looked good. There was there's still like a lot of photosynthetic tissue happening. It was still like super turgid. It was a really beautiful plant. Wrong way again. Okay, so in Taltal, we're starting to see Cinerea. These are a couple of the more interesting plants that we saw. I mean, Cinerea, showstopper, love them. This, multi-headed, multi-stemmed plant here on the left with lichen growing on it, like growing out of a crack in a rock, it was growing parallel to the ground, which was, so wild and so beautiful and really emblematic of the evolutionary traits these plants have to survive and thrive. And then in a different habitat, you're seeing like originally two-headed or dichotomized plant growing into a multi-headed, and then what am I trying to say?
And then a big like
cristata growth.
I think it's like a big kitchen
like,
scrubber.
yeah, like a loofah or something.
It's like a big back scrub. Foot scrubber.
Yeah. This was
exactly.
It was so cool. Then in Taltal, we got to see a population of Cinerea albispina. So these spines are like translucent. So in the sun, there's another like crazy glowing effect. And this population was legit on the beach. It was growing on the beach. And I think as a result of that, like maybe the shoreline eroding and the water getting closer, if I had to guess, you're seeing how stressed these plants are as a result of, I would postulate, the salt water getting on them, or there being more salt water moisture than there being fresh water from the Camanchaca. And as a result, you're seeing these insane looking orange yellow plants. And then on the right, this was the tallest Copiapoa we saw, or tallest, right? Because there were longer ones, but this thing was like 4 to 5 feet tall. Like you can see in the bottom of this image, it's like it's like almost resting on the rocks. There's no like insane root system anchoring this too much. It defies your logic, and it looks like a corn on the cob. It was so wild.
So as I remembered, you had like the normally a lot of, I don't know what color these guys are normally, but like the columna alba, they're looking black. But then as they age or get stressed, they'll mostly age. They'll remove their photosynthetic matter, and when they removing that matter to put it where it has the energy, you're left behind with whatever the cell structure is. So in this case, it turns from like black to like an orangey, in this case, like a pink, a pinkish
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Like so cool. This habitat was nuts. And then some other showstoppers growing in this habitat, like these multi-headed dichotomizing, trichotomizing, like crazy stuff, like so cool in like one of the least hospitable habitats. You know, it's just like so wild. So this
But
is
also, you know, also sticking with the idea that they are getting their moisture from the air, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that they're closer to the water. They're that type of species of cactus, which you expect to be further out, is able to thrive and even get splashed on even.
So Mount Parales, you're seeing like the Pacific Ocean on the right here. You're seeing how close these mountains are to the water again, right? And then like the habitats that you're experiencing right there. And mining is a huge thing in Chile too, right? So a lot of the roads that we were driving on were old mining roads. This habitat was like stupid lush. It was like, it was like borderline like temperate forest or something, like the Eulychnia growth, the Euphorbia lactiflua, the Oxalis gigantea. They were just like bursting. It was so wild, and you can just see like the Camanchaca soaking these plants, like on a daily basis. So there's like quite a bit of intermediate species here too, between like Cinerea, tenebrosa, Hasseltoniana. I think a lot of these plants are reclassified just under Cinerea or Hasseltoniana, but with the old heads there, referring to Schultz and the others, Clatterman, tenebrosa was something that was still being referred to. And they were, again, like really beautiful, super robust plants. Like you can see on the left here, like almost the entire plant is still photosynthetic, which is definitely on the rarer side. And you're getting a little bloom here on the right. This is the habitat of Cranesiana on the other side of the mountain. This was another like super variable habitat with these like bristlebrush Copiapoa. So cool, so beautiful, like almost pointillist looking. Then you're seeing here the variation within that species. So on the left, you're seeing like this very defined thick spines with like this greener growth and this super thick yellowy apical wool. Moving to the right, you got this very cute kawaii snowball paint bristlebrush looking stuff, like very more multi-headed, thicker clumping. And then above that, you're seeing a plant that isn't doing as well, right? It's like a lot of the photosynthetic stuff, the tissue is sacrificing, and you're seeing this like kind of like poodle-like grooming to it as a result. So all of the bristly spines have fallen away, and you're seeing, like this little puffball tail kind of growth. And then in the bottom right image, it was a really, really cool, like 3 or 4 flowers blooming in the top of that Copiapoa there. And then this is just a close macro of how brushy, translucent these spines are, and then this kind of melting specimen on the left here with like this almost pinkish taupey epidermis. So cool. And then this is the road on the way down. Like, you don't get sick of seeing these vistas, right? With like the sun rising on one side and setting on the other, and the insane shadows and how rough and wild the landscape is in a lot of parts still. And then this is like I was saying, the other intermediate. So this is more, this probably gets classified under Hasseltoniana now, but different than the way you see a lot of other Hasseltoniana. You're seeing like really white farina and like more clumping growth. The guy in the bottom right-hand corner here was like this really wild specimen where the stems are all very defined and all like 3 to 4 feet tall, growing like right on this cornice. So like just right on this precipice of this boulder, and then on the other side of it, it's just like a steep drop. Super, super cool. very Camanchaca rich habitat too. As we were having lunch there, I think it was lunch. The Camanchaca was coming in as we got to the summit, and then as we were finishing lunch, it was already rolling out. So I didn't really, know that, or register with me that it would happen like that quick. There was a density of moisture, but like the ability to collect and absorb it there was not a very, very large window of time. And so this is the summit, and this is like as the Camanchaca was rolling out. So you can see how lush this habitat is because of the life sustaining Camanchaca on the right. So this is heading out to Poposa now. This was another Hasseltoniana habitat with this like crazy terracotta orangey red substrate there. It was super wild. These plants were not doing well, but it made them look insane. It was so cool to see the attempts at survival yield these insane colors that you would swear that they had been Photoshopped or like a filter thrown on it. But no, this is legit how these plants looked. And then on the left here, you're seeing this Hasseltoniana, just like something must have infected the top, or somebody must have gone after some animal might have gone after it. But as a result of that wound, you're seeing like, 24 pups trying to pop out and make something happen, which is most likely not going to work. But the color range here from like off-white to yellowy green to orange to magenta red, ruby red was astounding. And then not too far from there, there were these really beautiful outcroppings of rocks covered in bird shit that made it look like snow, but it's all of these migratory seabirds, and there we saw a couple of penguins there too. Very cool.
Hey, Zach,
So
I just wanna jump in
Yeah.
real quick and just say we got about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
That's what. So in this habitat, you're seeing, again, the same habitat. You're seeing the longest plant we saw was like maybe 6-7 feet long here in the bottom left. And then this really insane crest on the right. So if you have pests in your plant collection, don't get too down on yourself, because this thing is covered in scale. So this is just a little, don't feel bad, just treat your pests.
Happens in the wild too, not just in your windowsill indoor stuff.
So we got a triple play here of the Camanchaca, just showing you, its beauty and its the way that it plays in the light. So another plant that is not so widely talked about is Copiapoa batiha. So we're seeing this growing on like these really wild, steep cliffs, not too far from the ocean as well. But this, they're all pretty scraggly and not really having any farina, but they were pretty cool. We got Steve Brack hanging out with Copiapoa solaris, the grail. This habitat was really cool and allegedly the most arid. So you see these clumps in the bottom right-hand corner that are hundreds of years old, but dead. But you did see in the left-hand side, you were seeing seedlings and younger plants, which is reassuring as well. This is just like a really terrific example of a super healthy plant, Copiapoa solaris. And then a couple more really huge clumps that were in the habitat, and then Copiapoa decorticans growing in the center here with some solaris as well. The geology there was, it paralleled the beauty of the plants. It was always so wild and so dramatic that you're seeing like, this crisscrossing of different geological formations here on the cliffside. So in Puntos Churros, this was another like very lush habitat with like all of this crazy moss and lichen growing on the Eulychnia there. And then you're seeing, I can't remember which Neuropateria or Eriocyce this was, but the bright fuchsia flowers really set it off. Not too far from there in Carrizal Bajo, you're seeing these really interesting bulbs. I'm not so up on these, but they were all popping off on the beach there, and that was super cool to see. This tree was so nuts. We were driving on this old oil road And then we get to the end of the road, almost like going back onto the highway, and there's like this totally desiccated tree covered in cormorants. It was something out of like, like a Hitchcock film or something. It pulling up to it, it makes you second guess yourself. Like there's this cognitive dissonance that all of these cormorants would be hanging out in this one totally desiccated tree. It was super, super cool. This was the campsite in Carrizal Bajo. Another beautiful, beautiful spot. And then again, you're seeing like the as a result of how dense the Camanchaca here is, the result of that.
A lot more lichen.
Exactly, yeah. So and also, which was really cool, you're seeing a crested Copiopol dialbata, not common. That image is from this totally insane multi crest dialbata. This habitat, again, was like another stunner to see that many Copiapoa dialbata and the density of them. It was, you feel like you're on a different planet, or you're under the ocean with these sea urchin looking groupings. And then again, you're seeing a lot of lichen growth, and then some variation in spination here in the bottom right. You're seeing like this blonde or yellow color as well. And then you're just seeing like these really trippy, hypnotic images. Just, you could just sit and stare and feel the power that these plants have. So cool. And then you're also seeing some variation within the habitat as well. So like here you're seeing very stark contrast between black and farina. Here you're seeing not as much farina and a much more, sagey green, maybe indicating younger, maybe indicating variation within the habitat, or just variation within the genus. And then you're seeing Copiapoa echinata in the bottom right here, just tracing the line of this break in this boulder here. Super, super cool. Then echinoides heading out of that habitat back to the road. Another really interesting, just like roadside find of these really beautiful yellowy green, not farina having Copiapoa. Couple of ouchie boo-boos here. Not everything was rainbows and sunshine. Cliff took a spill here, trying to get a picture of a plant, and landed on one of the few opuntioids we saw there and got a handful of glaucids. Not nice. This is one of the only lizards we saw. So this is a Leolamus fabiana. And then we're seeing Dougie in the bottom right here, and Alex framing this totally insane Eulychnia. We're talking, 15 feet, 16 feet, in the middle of this insanely arid habitat with not much else happening. Very, very cool. So we're getting to the end here. We got Ariocysioderii, very, very dense tubercled spination happening here in this granitic rock. And then Copiapoa marginata. So this is another non-farina having Copiapoa. So you're seeing denser spination to protect it from the sun and the wind and predators as well. Okay, Parker, take it over for the last couple of minutes.
Okay. What slide are we on? My slides are a little delayed from yours. Yeah. So if you can see, if the thing in front of you is a bunch of people with plants, I think that is the kind of what we're trying to do with the trip, and get close to these plants in their native space and environment. So in the city, we're trying to replicate those conditions, however futile that is, however, but the point is to get close, and I think and to understand what makes these plants so unique.
I think also like the impermanence of the plants is something that we're all sort of relating to, and like their ability to sustain. Like you see Christian holding this Copiapoa here as a result of like, you think geology and like that stuff is like pretty settled now, but no, like there was a shift with like this these boulders, and like as a result, the plant that was growing in the cracks of the boulders fell out and was just like laying on the ground like that. So I think we all appreciate their ability to be around for such a long time, and there is something you feel in being close to them.
Yeah, and I think also just this particular species of plant, I think we love it because it's so unique, but also that uniqueness is also a vulnerability. So it's learned over millennia how to live right here with the Camanchaca fog and with the desert, and in that combo, there's been enough variation in landscape to create this variety.
Parker, since
but
we're
as
like
climate,
pressed on time, is there something that you want to jump to after this, or something that you want to
yeah,
touch
it's just
on before we wrap?
yeah, I'm just making a point and that that these things are pretty vulnerable. So with climate change, things could change very quickly, and these things that have taken millennia to adapt to would be sort of left out in the lurches. So if you go to the next slide, in Chile, Chile has some of the best like social housing programs, but meaning getting housing to people. But then part of that is a kind of a clear cutting attitude. So if you almost like a right to housing, a much greater right to housing there. And so one of the things is if you're trying to create a house, you're allowed to clear. And in this case, we found these sort of dump pits of 100-year-old, like, 200-300-year-old plants, which in America, some of these were getting planted at the same time as the redwoods were getting started. So they might be small, but it's sort of not any less grand, and just something to be aware of. Feels pretty disposable sometimes. So I think that's the trip. If you go to the next slide, Zach, we have the sort of the entourage photo. And so these are a bunch of plant lovers who wanted to go out and get closer to the real thing. And then, this presentation was brought to you by two of them. It was shared a special truck, and got to learn a lot from Zach in the process.
And Alex.
And Alex, yeah. So I think we're gonna
Guys,
say
thank you so much.
thanks and
That was
open it up.
amazing.
And then we got some man-made Camanchaca right here.
Beautiful.
Right.
Oh, now it's playing. Oh, that's nice. We didn't get any questions right now in the chat. I didn't see any, and I don't see any in the Q&A. And we
Great.
don't really have too much time to even go there. But if anyone's listening right now and wants to ask a quick question in the chat, go ahead and fire it off. Ian,
I'll just
thanks
say
everyone, and said it was
yeah.
fantastic.
I'll just say that we're trying to do more of this and get people together as a organizational force to get closer to plants.
We want to lead, we want to lead trips and head out to habitat so we can all, whatever level of interest or knowledge you have, we can share these experiences together and build a community that not only grows plants, but also appreciates where they come from and can help, help sustain those places and make sure that they're around for generations of people, not only to enjoy, but that they're around, period, because they preceded us and they should last after us.
Joe, you want to say anything or?
Just here to that. Seconded. Thank you everybody. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Thanks God, blah blah blah. Oh, yeah. So two things. First of all, thank you guys for doing this. This is really great. Thanks to everybody who's been coming. It's been so nice to get to connect with some of you people on here and on Instagram. And if you have any questions or want to know more about the projects that we're working on or want to be a part of it, just hit us up on Instagram. Like I said at the beginning, we're going to have our first, public meeting this next Sunday at 5 p.m. So we'll send out a Zoom link on our Instagram. And so the more the merrier. Anybody who wants to come, that would be amazing. And thanks again to everyone at Dover. All of the talks that we've given so far, this is the third of 3. They're going to live on the, the Dover Street Market YouTube page. We have one right now linked on our Instagram, and I'll put this one up as soon as it goes up on YouTube. And yeah, just
Are people
stay tuned.
are people still able to buy those t-shirts?
Yes, the shirts are still available online and in person at Dover Street Market, and there is a fair amount of plants left in person at Dover Street Market, New York. So definitely go check them out. And we'll post something about that again next week. But I think that's it. So thank you guys so much. This was great.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye.